The sun had barely risen over the violet dunes of planet Erythra when Yalen, a human boy no older than 14, approached the towering gates of the Aurelus colony. In his small hands, he carried a carefully wrapped bundle of iridescent flowers that only grew in the shadow of the colony's crystal spires. His eyes were red and wet, and his chest heaved with quiet sobs. Yolon had always been different. While other humans had stayed on their shuttle-bound settlements, content with controlled gravity and artificial skies, he had ventured farther. He had stumbled upon the colony by accident or, perhaps by fate. Aurelus was no ordinary settlement. It was home to the Drakari, a race of dragons whose scales shimmered like molten metal and whose wings could blot out the sky. Among them, the most revered was Lady Saphira, a dragon of unmatched wisdom and power, whose emerald eyes could pierce the truth from any soul. Jalen's small figure was dwarfed by the monumental gates. The Drakari guards, sleek and formidable, shifted uneasily at the sight of him. They whispered to one another in a language of hissing clicks and melodic roars, debating whether to send him away. "Wait," Yolon cried, lifting the flowers. "I come in peace." The commotion drew the attention of Lady Saphira herself. She descended from her high perch, wings folding elegantly behind her as her golden scales caught the morning light. She was terrifying and magnificent, and yet there was a gentleness in her gaze that made Jalen's knees tremble. "You are not from here," she said, her voice resonating like the hum of an ancient temple. I live near your colony," Yolon stammered. "Not far, but I had to come." Lady Saphira tilted her head. "You brought flowers. Why?" Jalen's hands shook, and he dropped the bundle at her feet. The flowers glowed softly, their petals folding and unfolding as if breathing. These are for you," he said, voice cracking. And for the boys." "Which boys?" she asked, her curiosity tempered with caution. Yolon swallowed hard. "The boys I live with. They're orphans. They survived the raids, the storms, but they have nowhere else to go. I brought them here once, before, but I wasn't sure if it was safe." Lady Saphira's eyes softened, the faintest shimmer of emotion crossing her face. "You mean the human children living in the desert beyond the eastern ridge?" "Yes," Jalen's voice rose with desperation. "They need help, Lady Dragon. They don't have food or shelter, or sometimes they don't even have hope. I thought maybe..." He couldn't finish. Tears ran down his cheeks, streaking the dust of Erythra into rivers of sorrow. Lady Saphira stepped closer, her massive claws careful not to crush the delicate flowers. "Do you understand what you ask of me, boy?" she said gently. "You ask a dragon to take in your people, humans, no less. You ask me to risk the wrath of those who see your kind as weak." Yalen nodded, choking back a sob. "They're not weak. They're brave. They've survived things no one should survive. I just want them to live." Lady Saphira studied him for a long, silent moment. Then, without a word, she extended a claw and touched the flowers. Light spilled from them, bathing the boy in warmth. The petals trembled and then separated, releasing a soft, golden pollen into the air. The scent was intoxicating, carrying with it a promise of safety, of growth, of life. "You have courage, human," she said finally, "and a heart that refuses to break. You remind me of the first humans who came here centuries ago. They were fragile, yes, but their spirit, it burned brighter than any star. Yolan wiped his tears and looked up, hope flickering in his chest. You'll help them. I will, she said. But first, you must take me to them. The journey was treacherous. Yolan led Lady Saphira and her 2 attendants across jagged cliffs and shifting dunes. The humans who had survived the harsh desert looked like ghosts in the early light, malnourished, hollow-eyed, and wary. But when Lady Saphira landed before them, wings folding in a protective arch, their fear melted into awe. Lady Dragon, Yalan called softly, these boys live in my colony. They've survived storms and raiders, but they can't do it alone. Please. Lady Saphira lowered herself until her massive eyes met theirs. I am Saphira of the Drakari. You are safe now. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the boys, one by one, stepped forward. They pressed their hands to her scales, feeling the warmth, the power, the living heartbeat beneath. They were humans, yes, but they had inherited the resilience that only survival could forge. Come, Lady Saphira said, her voice gentle but commanding. You will live within my colony. You will learn, you will grow, and you will become more than what you think you are. Yalan felt a weight lift from his chest. The boys around him cheered softly, their voices trembling with disbelief and gratitude. Some laughed, some cried, but all of them knew that for the first time they were truly safe. Days turned into weeks, and the human boys adapted to life in the auraless colony. Lady Saphira taught them the ways of the Drakari, their language, their discipline, their philosophy. The humans learned to respect their power, to harness their ingenuity, and to use courage in place of strength. Jalen never left her side. Each night he would stand at the edge of the Crystal Spire Gardens, looking down at the desert where he had once wandered alone. The memories of his struggle were sharp, but now they were tempered by hope. He had saved them more, perhaps. They had saved each other. One evening, as twin moons bathed the colony in silver light, Lady Saphira approached him. You have done well, Yalan. You reminded us of the power of the human heart. Never doubt it. Yalan looked up, eyes shining. I couldn't have done it without you, Lady Dragon. Thank you. She lowered her head, so their eyes met. No, boy. You reminded me that even the smallest beings can change the course of worlds. These boys, this colony, it is not mine alone. It is yours, too. Your courage gave them a chance to live. And in that moment, Yalan realized that bravery was not about strength or weapons. It was about hope, compassion, and a willingness to stand for others even when the universe seemed against you, as the wind whispered across the violet dunes. The human boy smiled. He had brought life where there had been none, and in doing so, he had become a hero not by scales or fire, but by heart. Lady Saphira watched him silently, wings folding behind her like the cloak of a queen. The flowers he had brought still glowed faintly, a living reminder that even the smallest gestures could spark miracles. And somewhere deep in the desert, the other humans once lost, now found slept safely, knowing that they had been given a second chance, because, in the galaxy, sometimes it was not the strongest who survived, but the bravest asterisk